Hey everybody, as I get back into the swing of things here, I thought what better way to get my creative juices flowing than a good old-fashioned book haul. So today I'm here to tell you about a stack of books that have come my way either from publishers or I bought them myself that I want to make sure are on your TBR. So without further ado, let's get started. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? As always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and of course, I hope you're reading an amazing book or two or three or four. I actually have had a very good reading weekend, which you'll hear a little bit about today, but I am doing really well. Getting used to Portland weather, I have to say. It is much wetter here than I'm used to, but we are figuring it out. We try to do our errands when the rain is not falling, and then we spend time inside. I usually reading, my husband playing video games, cuddled with an animal or two. And I have to say, I absolutely love it. And today I'm here to share a big stack of books with you that I am pretty sure you are going to want to read every single one of them. So without further ado, let's get out your pen, your paper, your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please get these books from your local independent bookstore, or if you're a library user, get your library copy as soon as possible. We're going to start with a book that I actually just got this weekend. It was actually recommended to me by one of you in the comments on my first video. I thought it was a completely different book, if I'm being honest. And then a text thread started with my friends, my bookish friends that I've had for years and years and years. And all of them kept saying, Russell, you have to read this book. It's a Russell book. And so I ordered it and picked it up on my way home on Thursday and read it yesterday in one sitting. And that is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This is out from Crown Books. And y'all, this is my hug for your heart book of 2025. This is the story of Sybil. She is in her 70s when we meet her. The book is epistolary. It is told in letters, and she writes them to so many different people, from Joan Didion to Larry McMurtry to her best friend, who she has had for eons and eons and eons, and then also to her family, to her neighbors. She is a letter writer. And as these letters go on, we start to learn about her past. She has lost a child. She lost a child when he was very, very young. And that was sort of the end of her marriage. And we learn how that all came to be. We learn about her finding life in her 70s, meeting different people, and really coming to terms with her past before she decides to move into her present. I love this book. I don't want to give too much away because there are quite a few twists and turns that, even though there's a lot going on, I never felt that there was so much going on that it lost Sybil. She is a fantastic old woman. I love her. I will never forget her. I finished the book in tears yesterday. In my eyes, I was loving it. And so, if you trust me for old lady books that pull on your heartstrings, this is one for you. The Correspondent by Virginia Evans, out from Crown Books. Now you can get your hands on it. I will say the library wait is quite long on it, so you may need to pick up a copy if you want it right now. The next two books were sent to me as advanced reader copies. One of these books came out quite some time ago, but I wanted to make sure that it was on your radar. And that is Bad Bad Girl by Gish Jen. This is out from Knopf. It came out in October, so you can certainly get your hands on it now. This is a mother-daughter story told over generations. The first mother-daughter iteration is in China, 1925, Shanghai. The daughter has very strict expectations on how should she act. She doesn't act that way. Her mother often says to her, bad, bad girl, you should speak better, you should do better. She winds up getting sent to a Catholic school by her father. Turns out she's bright as can be, excels, where then he's like, I'm too bad you're not a son. Too bad you can't do these things for me. Well, she decides then to leave China right at the start of the revolution, the Communist Revolution, and then she moves to America to get a PhD. There she meets a young man, also from China, who's getting his PhD in engineering, I believe. They wind up getting married and they wind up having a child, and it becomes very hard for them to separate what's going on in their lives from what's going on back in China and everything that's going on there. Well, they have a young girl, a young daughter, and let's say Gish is very much like her mother and challenges her in many, many ways. And she finds herself reacting in the same way that her mother reacted to her. So that that's up your alley, that family drama, but also sort of learning about how the way that we are treated by our parents often is how we treat those in our lives, and sometimes we have to reckon with that. So that is Bad Bad Girl by Gish Jen. This is out from Knopf, and you can get it now, even though I have the advanced reader's copy. It came out in October. The next book doesn't actually come out, I think, until next year. January 13th of 2026. And that is This Is Where the Serpent by Daniyal Mueenuddin, and I apologize, I'm probably butchering that. This is also out from Knopf, and again, as I said, this comes out January 13th, 2026. So I'm going to use the back a little bit on this one because this one has a little bit going on and I don't know it as well. But it says that moving from Pakistan's glittering cities to the lawless feudal countryside, This Is Where the Serpent Lives powerfully invokes contemporary feudal Pakistan on a farm on which the destinies of a dozen unforgettable characters are linked through violence and love, resilience and tragedy. There's an orphan boy who rises from the streets to sort of a place of responsibility in a household run by a colonel. We have a young man who was born on the colonel's estate in the country and rises up to management, and then something happens and he is now considered an outlaw, fleeing from the police. And then we have the colonel's sons who are competing for the love of a woman. And it says, and discovers that her choice colors his life with unexpected darkness as well as light. So I think it's going to be very broad in scope. It's going to feel very much like a town story, but with all of these competing intricacies to the overall dynamic of Pakistan at this time. So I think it sounds very, very good. So that's, again, This Is Where the Serpent by Daniyal Mueenuddin, and I'm sorry, I am probably butchering that, but I think you should pre-order it because I think it sounds great. So I'm going to try to hold all of these on my lap. Don't quite have a stand yet where I'm at, but we'll see how it goes. If things fall, I apologize in advance. The next book I want to tell you about is Dinner at the Night Library. This is by Hika Harada. This is translated from the Japanese by Phillip Gabriel. And this book is right up our reader alley. So this is the story of Ota, Otoha. Tell me if you know how to say that. She works at a bookstore. She's sort of not loving her job anymore. She's sort of on the verge of quitting when she receives an invitation to work at the night library. This is a library of books that only holds books by deceased authors, and you can't buy them, you can't check them out, you can only visit them. She gets there, she finds that she loves the people she works with, she loves what she's doing, she's really reinvigorated when something starts to happen in the bookstore and things come under scrutiny, and her and her newfound friends start to worry that everything they love about this bookstore is going to disappear. So I think that's right up our alleys. A little mystery, a lot of book love, and all of that. So that is Dinner at the Night Library by Hika Harada, and that's translated by Phillip Gabriel. Okay. Next on my list is a little book from Europa that I was really drawn to in the bookstore. I bought this at Powell's because of the cover. And I didn't know a ton about it, but it does sound fascinating. And that is this. Look at that cover, you all. That's Book of I by David Grieg. And again, this is out from Europa. This is set in 1825 Scotland on a tiny island. The Norse have arrived to destroy this monastery and steal all of its monetary worth. There you go, I got around to it. In the monastery, there are a bunch of monks who are actually quite ecstatic that they are about to die and become martyrs, except for one, and that's Brother Martin, who decides at the very end he's not that excited and he hides. When it's all over, he sort of comes out of hiding and he finds that there are two other people alive on this island. Una, who was a beekeeper and a mead maker, and I love this line, finds herself now happily a widow. Love it. I want to know all about it. And then you have one of the Norsemen who is left. He's older, sort of at the end of his his conquering life, and he is now on this island with the three of them. And it's really a book about how they go from being enemies to friends to really the relationship that they develop together on that island, living the rest of their lives. So again, that's Book of I by David Grieg, and that is again out from Europa Editions. Okay. How good do all of these books sound? I'm trying to talk fast, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job, and I'm selling them. So hopefully you've already added one or two to your list, but let's keep going. This book probably doesn't need as much of an introduction because it is on the short list for the National Book Award, and that is The True Story of Raja the Gullible and His Mother by Rabih Alameddine. I'm always like multiple syllable last names and myself. My brain starts to doubt itself and it just gets really crazy. But you want to read this book. Raja is a 63-year-old man living in Beirut with his mother, which, you know, I'm going to love that all over. He's a very well-respected philosophy teacher at the high school, and he's sort of like the town homosexual, if you will. His mom is nosy. I have started this one and just, he's doing her hair and like the back and forth is just great. Raja is got this great sense of humor in it. But he receives an invitation to go to America for a writing seminar. And it comes at a good time. It does comes at a good time. He's sort of longing for peace. There's a lot going on in Lebanon at the time. He needs a little space from his mom. But when he gets there, I like this line, it says, but at what first seems a stroke of good fortune, soon leads Raja to recount and relive the very disasters and past betrayals he wishes to forget. So I'm not very far in this one. I started it and then reading a bunch of different things, but great dialogue, great character development, and a great story about the relationships we have with others. And sometimes how we gloss over the past to live in the present, but it really stops us from having a future. So that is The True Story of Raja the Gullible and His Mother by Rabih Alameddine. And this is, again, out from, I didn't say who it was out from. It is out from Grove, but it is also shortlisted for the National Book Award. Okay. Next on the list is an author who I collect all of her books because I love her, but I just feel like not enough people are always reading her. And that's Helen Oyemi, and this is her new novel, A New Me. This is out from Riverhead. Riverhead publishes all of her books. I met her in person at East Bay Booksellers in Oakland, California, many, many years ago, and she was phenomenal. I was just blown away by her. So I have all of her books. My husband actually found her first two books, which are very difficult to find, so I complete my collection. So huge fan. And this book sounds insane. So this is about the fact that what if the different sides of your personality had trust issues with one another? Stop, right? So this is about Kinga, and every day of the week, a different personality of Kinga is in control. On Monday, it's Kinga A, and by Friday, it's Kinga F, I think. And they're all very, very different. But one day, on a Monday, Kinga A wakes up and finds a man tied up in the closet. And now all of a sudden, all of the personalities are start wondering what happens if you can't trust a certain side of yourself. Goes from there. Every Helen Oyemi book is a bit weird and crazy and everything you're gonna want. She's also got this just like this literary texture to her writing style that is next level. Highly recommend everything that she has written. So that's A New Me by Helen Oyemi out from Riverhead. You can get your copy now. Highly recommend. Okay. Another book that probably does not need a ton of description from me because I bet it's on all of your TBRs already. And that's The Wilderness by Angela Flournoy. And this is out from Mariner Books. This was longlisted for the National Book Award. You may remember Angela Flournoy. She wrote totally blanking on her first book. I can totally see the cover. I'll find the title for you. Give me just a second. The Turner House, which I actually quite loved, and so was very excited to see what her next book was going to entail. This is a story of 5 friends, and it's a friendship tale. It's about, there's a pair of sisters. There are 3 other women. One is like, let me see, one owns a restaurant. One is in a relationship, and I love the way it's described. It's like, he's a great guy, but she's ambivalent towards him, even when she finds out she's pregnant. And then the other one is a university librarian, I think, who sort of goes viral on social media for some posts that she posts. So all of this is about their friendship. It goes from like the 2000s through the 2020s, and it's about them together. The beginning of this book, I've actually started this one as well, is the story of one of them taking their grandfather across the ocean, I want to say to Switzerland, at the end of his life, to end his life, actually. It's so poetic. She's just got a way with words. Her people are so real. So highly, highly recommend, well, I recommend The Turner House. And you should also pick up The Wilderness by Angela Flournoy. This is out from Mariner here in the US. Okay, the last 2 books I'm gonna talk to you about are chunky chunksters. So if you're looking for that book to sort of bring in the new year and just get lost, one of these may be the book for you. The first one is The Wayfinder by Adam Johnson. This is out from FSG. Did you just see how beautiful that cover is? Now, Adam Johnson wrote The Orphan Master's Son, which won the Pulitzer. I met him before it won the Pulitzer at a Booktopia event in Santa Cruz, California. He is also a Stanford professor, and he was fantastic. He is an amazing storyteller. Then his short story collection, Fortune Smiles, won the National Book Award. So doing well for himself. He has 2 other books out. I've only read one, and now he has The Wayfinder. And this is so different from that's what I love about Adam, actually. Every book he writes is very, very different than the other. So this is set, how do you even describe this book? But you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of help from the covers just so I don't mess it up. Talking corpses, poetic parrots, and a fan that wafts the breath of life. This is the world young Corio finds herself thrust into when a mysterious visitor lands on her island, a place so remote its inhabitants have forgotten the word for stranger. Her people are desperate and on the brink of starvation, and the wayward stranger offers them an impossible choice. They can remain in the only home they've ever known and await the uncertainty to come, or Corio can join him and venture into unfamiliar waters, guided by only the night sky and his assurance of a bountiful future in the kingdom of Tonga. What she and her people do not know is that the promised refuge is no utopia. Instead, Tonga is an empire at war and on the verge of collapse, a place where brains are regularly liberated from skulls and souls get trapped in coconuts with some frequency. The perils of Tonga are compounded by a royal feud. Loyalties are shifting, graves are being reopened, and everyone lives in fear of a jellyfish tattoo. Here, survival can rest on the perfectly performed dance or the acceptance of a cup of kava. Together, the stranger and Corio embark upon an epic voyage, one that will deliver them either to salvation or to the depths of the Pacific. See, there was no way I was going to say all of that as well as they did. Adam Johnson is a phenomenal writer. I actually am going to do this one audiobook and reading to help me with some of the pronunciation, which is I highly recommend and I actually do it quite often just so it keeps the book and me engaged. Love it. But if you haven't read The Orphan Master's Son, you haven't read Fortune Smiles, do that, but also pick up The Wayfinder by Adam Johnson out from FSG. It's chunky. I think it's over 600 pages long, but I have a feeling it's going to be 100% worth it. And last but not least is an even thicker book, and that's Tom's Crossing by Mark Z. Daniel Wesky? Daniel Wesky? And this is out from Pantheon, and this is a behemoth, y'all. I am keeping this one very short because I don't want to know a ton about what's going on. I know that it takes place in 1982, and it is the story of two friends that are determined to save two horses from slaughter. That is all I want to know. One, I am totally on board with that. Two, I want to dive into this world, and I think this is also going to be one. I will say it is a heavy, heavy book. I was trying to read it the other night. I was like, I'm going to start it, and I was in bed, and I dropped it, and it hurt. So I recommend sitting up on a couch for this one. But that's Tom's Crossing, out from written by Mark Z. Danielewski, and this is out from Pantheon Books. So I hope that stack, I don't know, was it 10 or 12? That one of these amazing books wound up on your TBR. It is too heavy for me to pick up and show you a stack, to be honest. But as always, everything will be in the description box. You can get your the names of the titles and everything you need down there. I hope that I was able to, convince you to read one or two. Well, as always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everyone.